This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Jeremy Pavier. The Black Arrow, A Tale of the Two Roses, by Robert Louis Stevenson. Book 1, Chapter 7, The Hooded Face. They awoke in the grey of the morning. The birds were not yet in full song, but twittered here and there among the woods. The sun was not yet up, but the eastern sky was barred with solemn colours. Half starved and over-weary as they were, they lay without moving, sunk in a delightful lassitude. And as they thus lay, the clang of a bell fell suddenly upon their ears. "A bell!" said Dick, sitting up. "Can we be then so near to Holywood?" A little after, the bell clanged again, but this time somewhat nearer hand, and from that time forth, and still drawing nearer and nearer, it continued to sound brokenly abroad in the silence of the morning. "Nay, what should this betoken?" said Dick, who was now broad awake. "It is some one walking," returned Matcham, "and the bell tolleth ever as he moves." "I see that well," said Dick. "But wherefore? What maketh he in Tunstall woods? Jack," he added, "laugh at me an ye will, but I like not the hollow sound of it." "Nay," said Matcham, with a shiver, "it hath a doleful note. And the day were not come." But just then the bell, quickening its pace, began to ring thick and hurried, and then it gave a single hammering jangle, and was silent for a space. "It is as though the bearer had run for a paternoster while, and then leaped the river," Dick observed. "And now beginneth he again to pace soberly forward," added Matcham. "Nay," returned Dick, "nay, not so soberly, Jack. 'Tis a man that walketh you right speedily. 'Tis a man in some fear of his life, or about some hurried business. See ye not how swift the beating draweth near?" "It is now close by," said Matcham. They were now on the edge of the pit, and as the pit itself was on a certain eminence, they commanded a view over the greater proportion of the clearing, up to the thick woods that closed it in. The daylight, which was very clear and grey, showed them a riband of white footpath wandering among the gorse. It passed some 100 yards from the pit, and ran the whole length of the clearing, east and west. By the line of its course, Dick judged it should lead more or less directly to the Moat House. Upon this path, stepping forth from the margin of the wood, a white figure now appeared. It paused a little, and seemed to look about, and then, at a slow pace, and bent almost double, it began to draw near across the heath. At every step the bell clanked. Face it had none. A white hood, not even pierced with eye-holes, veiled the head, and as the creature moved, it seemed to feel its way with the tapping of a stick. Fear fell upon the lads, as cold as death. "A leper!" said Dick, hoarsely. "His touch is death," said Matcham. "Let us run." "Not so," returned Dick. "See ye not? He is stone blind. He guideth him with a staff. Let us lie still. The wind bloweth towards the path, and he will go by and hurt us not. Alas, poor soul, and we should rather pity him." "I will pity him when he is by," replied Matcham. The blind leper was now about half way towards them, and just then the sun rose and shone full on his veiled face. He had been a tall man before he was bowed by his disgusting sickness, and even now he walked with a vigorous step. The dismal beating of his bell, the pattering of the stick, the eyeless screen before his countenance, and the knowledge that he was not only doomed to death and suffering, but shut out for ever from the touch of his fellow men, filled the lads' bosoms with dismay. And at every step that brought him nearer, their courage and strength seemed to desert them. As he came about level with the pit, he paused, and turned his face full upon the lads. "Mary be my shield! He sees us!" said Matcham faintly. "Hush!" whispered Dick. "He doth but hearken. He is blind, fool." The leper looked, or listened, whichever he was really doing, for some seconds. Then he began to move on again, but presently paused once more, and again turned and seemed to gaze upon the lads. Even Dick became dead white, and closed his eyes, as if by the mere sight he might become infected. But soon the bell sounded, and this time, without any farther hesitation, the leper crossed the remainder of the little heath and disappeared into the cover of the woods. "He saw us," said Matcham. "I could swear it." "Tut," returned Dick, recovering some sparks of courage. "He but heard us. He was in fear, poor soul. An ye were blind and walked in a perpetual night, ye would start yourself if ever a twig rustled or a bird cried peep." "Dick, good Dick, he saw us," repeated Matcham. "When a man hearkeneth, he does not as this man; he doth otherwise, Dick. This was seeing, it was not hearing. He means foully. Hark! Else if his bell be not stopped." Such was the case. The bell rang no longer. "Nay," said Dick, "I like not that. Nay," he cried again, "I like that little. What may this betoken? Let us go, by the mass." "He hath gone east," added Matcham. "Good Dick, let us go westward straight. I shall not breathe till I have my back turned upon that leper." "Jack, y' are too cowardly," replied Dick. "We shall go fair for Holywood, or as fair, at least, as I can guide you, and that will be due north." They were afoot at once, passed the stream upon some stepping stones, and began to mount on the other side, which was steeper, towards the margin of the wood. The ground became very uneven, full of knolls and hollows. Trees grew scattered or in clumps. It became difficult to choose a path, and the lads somewhat wandered. They were weary, besides, with yesterday's exertions and the lack of food, and they moved but heavily and dragged their feet among the sand. Presently, coming to the top of a knoll, they were aware of the leper, some 100 feet in front of them, crossing the line of their march by a hollow. His bell was silent, his staff no longer tapped the ground, and he went before them with the swift and assured footsteps of a man who sees. Next moment he had disappeared into a little thicket. The lads, at the first glimpse, had crouched behind a tuft of gorse. There they lay, horror struck. "Certain he pursueth us," said Dick. "Certain. He held the clapper of his bell in one hand. Saw ye? That it should not sound. Now may the saints aid and guide us, for I have no strength to combat pestilence." "What maketh he?" cried Matcham. "What doth he want? Who ever heard the like, that a leper out of mere malice should pursue unfortunates? Hath he not his bell to that very end, that people may avoid him? Dick, there is below this something deeper." "Nay, I care not," moaned Dick. "The strength is gone out of me. My legs are like water. The saints be mine assistants." "Would ye lie there idle?" cried Matcham. "Let us back into the open. We have the better chance. He cannot steal upon us unawares." "Not I," cried Dick. "My time is come, and peradventure he may pass us by." "Bend me then your bow," cried the other. "What, will ye be a man?" Dick crossed himself. "Would ye have me shoot upon a leper?" he cried. "The hand would fail me. Nay, now," he added, "nay, now, let be. With sound men I will fight, but not with ghosts and lepers. Which this is, I wot not. One or other, Heaven be our protection." "Now," said Matcham, "if this be man's courage, what a poor thing is man! But sith ye will do naught, let us lie close." Then came a single broken jangle on the bell. "He hath missed his hold upon the clapper," whispered Matcham. "Saints, how near he is!" But Dick answered never a word. His teeth were near chattering. Soon they saw a piece of the white robe between some bushes. Then the leper's head was thrust forth from behind a trunk, and he seemed narrowly to scan the neighbourhood before he once again withdrew. To their stretched senses, the whole bush appeared alive with rustlings and the creak of twigs, and they heard the beating of each other's heart. Suddenly, with a cry, the leper sprang into the open close by and ran straight upon the lads. They, shrieking aloud, separated, began to run different ways. But their horrible enemy fastened upon Matcham, ran him swiftly down, and had him almost instantly a prisoner. The lad gave one scream that echoed high and far over the forest. He had one spasm of struggling, and then all his limbs relaxed, and he fell limp into his captor's arms. Dick heard the cry and turned. He saw Matcham fall, and on the instant his spirit and his strength revived. With a cry of pity and anger, he unslung and bent his arblast. But ere he had time to shoot, the leper held up his hand. "Hold your shot, Dickon," cried a familiar voice. "Hold your shot, mad wag. Know ye not a friend?" And then, laying down Matcham on the turf, He undid the hood from off his face and disclosed the features of Sir